They say people only realize the value of water when the well runs dry. The same truth plays out in love. A woman may think she'll never miss a man who gave her everything, but psychology has a way of proving her wrong. The man she once overlooked, the man she thought would always be there, becomes the very man she cannot stop thinking about once he chooses himself. And here's the brutal reality. She doesn't start missing him when he's around. She starts missing him the moment he pulls away, when his silence echoes louder than his words, and when her comfort turns into regret. Let's break down the hidden psychology of how and why women miss the men they once took for granted. Step 1. Silence speaks louder than words. Silence has always carried a strange power. People assume words hold the weight, that endless talking, explaining, clarifying somehow proves love or loyalty. But when a man finally learns the power of silence, that's when the real shift happens. A woman who once took his presence for granted doesn't notice the silence at first. She thinks he's just busy, caught up in work, or maybe giving her some space. But as the hours turn into days, that silence grows heavier. Suddenly, the man who once filled her phone with messages, who always checked in, who always explained himself, is no longer doing it. And that stillness speaks louder than any long speech he ever gave. You see, silence does something that words can't. Words can be debated, dismissed, even twisted, but silence leaves no room for argument. It forces her to sit with her own thoughts, to question herself in ways she never did before. Why isn't he calling? Did he stop caring? Did I push him too far? Those questions echo louder than his voice ever did, and that echo starts turning into regret. When someone is always available, their presence becomes background noise. She feels safe believing he will always be there no matter how she reacts. But silence removes that security. It makes her realize that his attention was never endless. It was a gift, and gifts once ignored are not guaranteed to return. This is where missing begins. Each notification she doesn't get, every call that never comes, every night he doesn't check in or remind her of what she once overlooked, what once felt overwhelming. His constant presence suddenly feels like a blessing she didn't appreciate. And here's the irony. Silence also communicates strength. It's not weak to stop explaining. It's not weak to pull away. In fact, it shows a man values his energy more than convincing someone who never noticed it in the first place. That shift changes how she sees him. He's no longer the desperate man begging for attention. He becomes the man who chose himself. And that image stirs something deep inside her. The mind plays tricks in silence. She begins replaying old memories, old conversations, old moments she once brushed aside. She realizes his presence filled more space in her life than she ever admitted. The more she remembers, the more she longs. The silence that she once thought meant nothing now becomes unbearable. So when does a woman truly start missing a man she took for granted? Not when he's chasing, not when he's arguing, not when he's explaining. She starts missing him the day he chooses silence over pleading. Because silence doesn't just mean absence, it means he's no longer willing to fight for a place she didn't value. Step 2. Consistency turns into distance. Consistency is one of those quiet things in love that rarely gets the recognition it deserves. A man who shows up every single day, not with grand gestures but with the little things, the good morning text, the late night check-in, the steady reassurance, is giving something most women don't fully notice until it's gone. At first, she feels safe in that rhythm. It becomes her comfort zone. She knows he'll be there, knows he'll call, knows he'll care, no matter how she reacts. But when something becomes too predictable, too constant, it slowly begins to feel ordinary, and that's where the danger starts. The truth is, consistency is never ordinary. It takes effort, it takes choice, it takes a man deciding every single day to keep showing up. But when that consistency goes unappreciated, when it's brushed off like background noise, eventually he feels the weight of it. He realizes he's pouring into someone who doesn't see the gift he's giving, and that's when the shift happens. He starts to pull back. Not in a dramatic way, not in anger, but quietly, slowly. The daily rhythm begins to fade. At first, she barely notices. She tells herself he's just busy or he'll come back around. She shrugs off the silence, believing the routine will continue like it always has. But over time, the absence grows louder. The good morning message that once came like clockwork no longer lights up her screen. The phone calls that used to arrive without her having to ask are missing. The comfort of his constant presence turns into a hollow gap. And here's where the missing starts. She begins to realize that his consistency was not a routine, it was a form of love. It was the foundation of her emotional security, something she didn't even realize she depended on until it was no longer there. Now, every small thing he once did feels extraordinary in hindsight. The little gestures she ignored now carry a weight she cannot escape. Consistency creates emotional dependency in ways we don't even notice. You don't plan for it, you don't demand it, but when someone shows up every day, your heart gets used to it. And when it disappears, nothing else feels the same. No new conversation, no new distraction, no other man can replace the steady energy he once gave. That's the brutal truth. What felt like routine to her was actually rare. What she dismissed as ordinary was a gift. And once that consistency turns into distance, regret begins. She realizes she never deserved his daily effort, but he gave it anyway, and losing it feels like losing a part of herself. That's when she starts to miss him. Not when he gave endlessly, but when the flow stopped and she was left thirsty for the water she once spilled without care. Step 3. Respect grows in absence. Respect is a tricky thing in relationships. When someone is always there forgiving endlessly, loving without conditions, it's easy to stop respecting what they bring. A woman might look at a man's patience and confuse it with weakness. She might believe his willingness to stay means he has no strength to leave. That's the mistake many make. Because respect often doesn't grow in presence, it grows in absence. When a man chooses to step back, when he stops proving himself, when he walks away quietly instead of begging, something changes in her perspective. Suddenly, the same love she dismissed looks rare. The same effort she overlooked now feels priceless. She begins to see him differently, not as the man who was desperate to be chosen, but as the man who chose himself. That shift commands respect in a way words never could. Absence has this unique way of stripping illusions. When he was always there, she didn't have to think about what life would be like without him. She assumed his presence was permanent. But now, in the silence he left behind, she's forced to reflect. She recalls the countless times he showed up, the patience he carried, the sacrifices he made quietly without asking for credit. In his absence, those actions shine brighter than they ever did in his presence. And respect grows not because he demanded it, not because he shouted for it, but because he showed strength where she thought he had none. Choosing to walk away takes more courage than staying to beg. It's easy to keep chasing. It's harder to say, "Stand still and say enough." That's when she realizes his love was not weakness, it was choice, and choices can be withdrawn. Here's the painful part. Respect often arrives too late. At first, she might not admit it. Pride won't let her. But deep down, she feels the weight of what she lost. She sees that not everyone carries the same loyalty. Not everyone forgives like he did. Not everyone stays when things get messy. And in that comparison, his worth grows. Absence also carries dignity. When he no longer reacts to her moods, when he no longer lowers his energy to argue, she sees his strength. The same man she thought she could control now refuses to play her games. That quiet dignity forces her to respect him more than she ever did when he was chasing. And this is the sting. She realizes she underestimated him. The man she thought was easy to dismiss becomes the man she cannot stop thinking about. Respect doesn't just grow in his absence. It haunts her because now she knows he wasn't weak for loving her. He was strong for walking away. Step 4. Memories become triggers. Memories are tricky. They stay quiet when life feels full, when someone is present, when love feels guaranteed. But the moment a person walks away, those same memories come rushing back uninvited, sharp and heavy. For a woman who once took a man for granted, memories become her biggest reminder of everything she dismissed. At first, she doesn't notice them. She tries to keep busy. She tells herself she's fine. She may even distract herself with new people, new routines, or new conversations. But the human mind doesn't work like that. Memories sneak in when she least expects them. A song on the radio, a scent in the air, a place they once visited. Suddenly, she's back in that moment, and instead of brushing it off, she feels the sting, because now those memories hold value she never gave them before. The little details start replaying, the way he laughed at her jokes, the way he noticed when she was quiet, even when she said nothing was wrong. The way he always showed up without he or asking. These things she once overlooked now feel impossible to find again. What once blended into daily life now feels extraordinary in hindsight. And here's the painful truth. Memories don't just recall the past, they relive the emotion. When she remembers him, she doesn't just think about what he did, she feels how he made her feel, the safety, the care, the comfort. And the emotional replay hurts more than his actual absence, because she realizes she didn't just lose a person, she lost the feeling that only he gave her. What makes memories dangerous is that they don't wait for permission. They come at night when she's alone. They strike in conversations with other people. They show up in quiet moments she thought she could escape, and each time they remind her of her mistake. She had something rare. She had a man who cared deeply, and she threw it away believing it would always be there. The more she tries to push the memories down, the stronger they become. Psychology tells us that suppressed thoughts come back even harder, so every time she tries to deny him, something in her life pulls him back into focus. And the more it happens, the more she realizes she misses him. Not because she wants to, but because her own mind won't let her forget. The worst part, memories remind her of her failure. Every moment she recalls isn't just about him, it's about how she undervalued him. Each flashback is both a comfort and a punishment. A comfort because it brings him close again, and a punishment because it reminds her she no longer has him. And that's when missing him turns into regret. A regret she carries every single time the past knocks on her heart. Step 5. Another man cannot replace his energy. When she loses him, she often tells herself she can move on, that another man will step in and give her the same attention, the same care, maybe even more. But time away proves something. Energy cannot be replaced. Another man may bring excitement, he may say the right words, he may try to play the role, but he cannot recreate the unique energy that made her feel what she once felt. Energy isn't about surface gestures, it's about the depth of presence. The way he looked at her and knew something was wrong without her saying it. The way he remembered the small details about her that no one else noticed. The way he stayed consistent without being asked. That kind of energy doesn't come often, and once she realizes it, no new person feels enough. Other men may come with charm, they may be fun, distracting, and even affectionate for a time, but their attention often fades. Their words often feel empty. Their actions don't carry the same weight. She compares them even when she tries not to, and in every comparison, he stands taller in her memory. The truth is, energy is authentic. It cannot be faked. His care was real, his loyalty steady, his patience rare. That authenticity left an imprint. Psychology says we subconsciously measure new experiences against old ones, and no matter who comes along, they fall short of the standard he unknowingly set. She may deny it at first. She may tell herself, the new man is better, more exciting, more adventurous. But deep inside, she feels the difference. She misses the calmness he carried, the stability he gave, the way he made her feel chosen without her having to question it. Those things are not easy to replace. And here's the hardest part. She realizes too late that his energy wasn't ordinary. It wasn't just what men do, it was who he was. Another man might copy his actions, but the authenticity behind them cannot be imitated. She feels it in her bones. This new energy doesn't feel the same. That's when regret starts cutting deeper, because she sees that she gave up something irreplaceable, chasing an illusion that someone else could fill the space he left. And no matter how many people she meets, no matter how many conversations she has, his energy lingers like a shadow. She carries it with her, not because she wants to, but because it changed her. And that's the cruel truth. Energy leaves an imprint. His presence became a standard, and once you've experienced real, authentic energy, everything else feels like a weak copy. That's why she misses him. Not just the man, but the way he made her feel alive in a way no one else can replicate. Step 6. Security turns into regret. In the beginning, his love felt like security. He was always there, always forgiving, always patient. She believed he would never leave. That illusion of permanence became her safety net. It gave her confidence, but it also made her careless. She tested him, ignored him, dismissed him, because deep inside she believed he would always stay. But security only lasts as long as it's respected, and when he finally pulls away, when his love no longer feels guaranteed, that comfort turns into panic. The man she thought would never leave is suddenly silent. The love she thought was permanent is fading, and the security she once leaned on becomes regret pressing into her chest. At first, she doesn't accept it. She convinces herself it's temporary, that he'll come back like always. She waits for his consistency to return. But days turn into weeks, and the silence becomes undeniable. That's when regret sinks in. She replays the countless times she ignored his effort, the moment she brushed off his care, the time she dismissed his loyalty, and every memory stings because now she knows she can't go back. Regret is cruel because it's sharp and permanent. Unlike sadness, which fades with time, regret grows heavier the more you think about it. Every small reminder becomes a trigger, a missed call that will never come, a quiet night where she used to hear his voice. Each moment turns into proof of what she lost. What makes it worse is the realization that security was new, ever promised. He chose her every single day. He showed up not because he had to, but because he wanted to, and she mistook that choice for permanence. Now that choice is gone, and the regret of taking it for granted crushes her. She begins to see the truth. The security she once had wasn't about his presence, it was about his decision to stay. And when he stopped deciding, everything collapsed. The regret isn't just about missing him, it's about realizing she had something rare, something most people spend a lifetime searching for, and she treated it like it would last forever. The irony is painful. The very security that made her feel safe is what blinded her to his value, and now, in its absence, she feels lost. Regret turns ordinary memories into daggers, reminding her that she had love, patience, loyalty, and she let it slip away. That's when regret becomes unbearable, because she doesn't just miss him, she misses the safety she felt, the comfort she dismissed, the love she once believed would never leave, and knowing she can't get it back makes the missing even harder to live with. So here's the truth. Women don't stop missing the man they took for granted while he's chasing, explaining, or proving himself. They miss him when he chooses silence, when his consistency fades, when his respect demands absence, when memories start haunting, when no man can match his energy, and when their false sense of security turns into heavy regret. If you found value in this video, make sure to subscribe to Echoes of Stoicism, because here we don't just talk about relationships, we uncover the hidden psychology behind them. Hit the bell icon so you never miss the next insight, and remember, don't wait until it's gone to realize.